why our galaxy is called the Milky Way. Last year I became really curious about this question, so I decided to look into it. And turns out that the name comes from the ancient Greeks, which is not surprising because we borrow many names and ideas from them. So according to Greek mythology, Zeus placed his son Heracles on the breast of the goddess Hera while she was asleep, so the baby could drink her divine milk and become immortal. It was a clever idea, but it didn't go as planned. Hera woke up, realized she was feeding an unknown baby, pushed him away, and some of her milk spilled across the sky, creating a band of light we now call the Milky Way. This is how they saw it. That white line on the night sky, the center of our galaxy, is spilled milk. It's a fascinating story, and not surprising considering the broad imagination of the ancient Greeks. But when I first heard it, the thing that struck me the most was not how creative the story was, but the fact that they saw it. Those ancient people created the myth because they actually could see the Milky Way with their own eyes. And today, we often think of ancient people as very different from us. We look at the history as if it belongs to another world, something very distant and disconnected. So at first, it might not seem surprising that they saw an entirely different night sky. But the truth is, they lived on the same planet, under the same night sky. And instead of seeing an empty darkness like we do, they saw a glowing galaxy. And I kept asking myself, why? Why don't we see it anymore? And this is not because the stars disappeared, but because we covered them with our own light. And that has a name: light pollution. So light pollution is an excessive or misdirected use of artificial lights at night, and it is a form of environmental pollution. But unlike air or water pollution, we rarely talk about it. In fact, we don't even see it as a problem. After all, it's just light, right? It helps us see, makes us feel safe, and it is a part of our everyday life. So it's easy to assume that it has no harm. But in reality, it affects almost everything. The wildlife, the human health, and even entire ecosystems. Let's start with animals. And one of the most affected animals is sea turtles. Sea turtles have evolved to come on the shore to lay their eggs. And when the baby turtles hatch, the instinct is all they have. And for thousands of years, that instinct was simple. Follow the brightest light on the horizon, and that is where the ocean is. But today, that instinct betrays them. Instead of seeing the natural glow of ocean, the baby turtles see artificial lights, the street lights, the hotels, the cities. Instead of crawling toward the ocean, they go in the wrong direction, away from water, away from survival, and many of them never make it. Every year, millions of hatchlings are dying simply because the night is no longer dark. Migrating birds are also affected, and millions of them every year travel long distances guided by something very simple: the stars and constellations. And for years, the system was perfect. But today, the stars they rely on are no longer visible. Artificial lights of cities also attract them. And as they fly closer, they become disoriented. And instead of continuing their journey, they start circling again and again in confusion, wasting the crucial energy they need for migration. Many collide with buildings, many simply fall because they are too exhausted. And every year, millions of birds are dying because of light pollution. Now, maybe some of you are saying now, okay, that's very sad, but we need light at night for our safety. So why care about animals? That's a very bad thing to say, honestly. But let me tell you that light pollution affects every single species on the earth, and that includes us as well. So let's talk about us. You will not be surprised if I'll tell you that light pollution affects your sleep. Probably you have experienced it yourself. But what might surprise you is this. The long exposure to artificial light can lead to serious health issues, including to certain types of cancer. You may ask how a simple light can do so much harm. And that is when I want to draw your attention to one of the most important hormones in our body, melatonin. Melatonin is produced in dark, and it tells your body it's time to rest. But when you are exposed to artificial lights, your brain thinks it's still daytime. And then it reduces the production of melatonin. And when this process is disrupted, it doesn't just affect your sleep. It triggers the chain reactions in your body, increasing the risks of breast cancer, obesity, diabetes, depression, headaches, anxiety, and many more. The list is very long. But maybe even these scary facts do not really scare you. After all, we have so many harmful habits in our lives and we still keep them. So let me tell you something else that might hopefully catch your attention. The waste of light. The light that is supposed to illuminate our sidewalks, our cities, our homes, often ends up lighting the sky as well, where it serves no purpose and is useless. In fact, 35% of our outdoor lighting is wasted this way, in the atmosphere. And according to Dark Sky Association, this costs us around $3 billion each year. Now, whenever I talk about light pollution, I usually get a similar response. But we need light at night for our safety? Yes, we do. Of course we do. But reducing the light pollution never meant turning off all the lights. This is a very common misunderstanding. What it really means is just using lights more wisely. Because the truth is, we can be both safe and see the stars at the same time. And it doesn't take too much effort. Even you and I can make huge differences. So let me give you several recommendations, and I hope you're going to follow them. First, at night, turn off the unnecessary lights when you do not need them. But if you do still need lighting, I would recommend you to buy the bulbs with warm and less intense light instead of the bright blue lights. And most importantly, you may try to shield your bulb so the light goes downward where it's actually needed instead of disappearing in the atmosphere. And lastly, if you have such opportunity, do not keep this to yourself. Share it within your community, whether it's your neighborhood, your school, or your university. I'll be honest with you. Before I ever wondered about the name of our galaxy, I used to believe that those beautiful starry nights are something that you can see only in edited photos or through telescopes. But then I realized that for people thousands of years ago, this was a normal view. And when I think about it, ancient people actually were very different from us in many ways. The languages changed, the buildings disappeared, the books were written. And one of the few things that you and your ancestors who lived here thousands of years ago have in common is the same night sky. And now, we're losing that lost connection. But I'm not entirely sad, because I've got a new dream. A dream that can be actually very easily achieved. I dream that we will bring back the world where seeing the Milky Way is not a privilege or a luxury, but just a part of being alive on Earth. And I hope that I inspired you to feel the same. So next time when you are away from the city lights, this is your opportunity to look up and enjoy. Look at what you've been missing all these years. Look at what we're going to lose if nothing changes. Thank you.